Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
Let me tell you, we have a new star. A star is born, Elon.
Pumped up on Mars, juice, and ketamine.
He is the Thomas Edison plus of our age.
Probably his whole life is from a position of insecurity. I feel for the guy.
I would say 98% really appreciate what he does, but those 2% that are nasty, they are out there in full force.
We are meant for great things in the United States of America, and Elon reminds us of that.
I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot.
Welcome to Elon Inc. I'm Max Chafkin, and coming to you with a very special emergency podcast today on Wednesday, July 9th. It's about 1 o'clock, and just a couple of hours ago, we learned some shocking news. Linda Yaccarino, friend of the show and longtime CEO of X, company formerly known as Twitter, is out. She has left the company, and we wanted to talk about that because it's coming at a time of just incredible chaos within Elon Musk's empire with all that's going on. And I've got Sarah Frier, Bloomberg's big tech boss, on the other line. Sarah, how are you?
Doing well. Another big news day here in Techland.
You know what? It never stops. And this morning, I got a call from the Bloomberg TV producers. This is how I learned about this, who wanted to talk about. They also sent me this tweet that Linda posted at 10:40 a.m. I'm just going to read a little bit from it. After 2 incredible years, I've decided to step down as CEO of X. When Elon Musk and I first spoke of his vision for X, I knew, and it goes on and on. She's praising X. She's talking about how it's the everything app. It feels like a pretty amicable breakup. Sarah, let's just start. What do you make of this? What do you think caused Linda to step down? Do we think she was pushed out? Do we think something else is going on?
Well, I mean, if you look at the situation she's in right now, when she took this job, I wrote at the time, she's not really the boss. Like, she's the CEO, but Elon Musk holds the strings about how this company acts, and her job is to bring advertisers back to the platform. She has this great background at NBC Universal, these really tight relationships with advertisers. And if X was committed to returning advertisers to the platform, she would be the person to do it. But then she's dealing with her boss, posting all these things that make advertisers concerned about whether their content is going to show up next to anything that he says that's erratic or controversial. And so she's in this tough spot. And besides not actually being fully in charge as CEO, although she does run the day-to-day because Musk, he got busy this year.
You can
and is
say
busy
that.
in general. She does run the thing. But then, earlier this year, there's this transaction whereby X gets acquired, combined with XAI. It turns into this company called XAI Holdings, and her future is a little unclear in that. She's not even in charge of that new group.
CEO of one of two companies that are merged, clearly the more junior of the two companies. You would almost sort of expect that person in a normal company, which of course none of Elon Musk's companies are, you'd almost expect that person might be headed for the exit at that point.
And you might imagine that she got some sort of financial benefit from that deal. There was some concern for the debt holders for X that they wouldn't see a return on that debt or be able to offload it. That transaction was a way to help out those X investors as the company is really struggling. I mean, this social network has not been able to bring advertisers back effectively. They're doing a little bit better this year. And then there continues to be just tons of crazy things that happen every day, including yesterday.
Yeah, to that point, yesterday, as we're recording this on Wednesday, there was news, and I guess this really started on Monday, but Grok went Nazi again. There were like dozens, maybe more, hundreds, I don't know, posts where Grok was like talking about how great Hitler was and using these like kind of white nationalist memes. It kind of harkened back to an earlier incident that we talked about on this podcast when Grok started talking about white genocide, quote unquote, in South Africa. If your job is advertising, right, like there's one thing I know that advertisers are not crazy about, and it's like Nazism. That's definitely one of the bright lines that they draw. So you could just imagine maybe that could have crossed a line, or maybe
the EU is not happy today. There are a lot of countries in Europe that are, even talking about fines or bans for X. Yeah, it's really crazy too that as that was happening with Grok. Grok, by the way, is the chatbot that XAI makes.
Right.
And by the way, you can use X to post at the chatbot, and the chatbot might reply to you. So that's how all these people were seeing in public, in real time, the chatbot responding. And it's really a testament to how much chaos there's been on X that a lot of us didn't realize whether this was intentional or unintentional, right? And after this bubbled to the surface and became the subject of news stories about the anti-Semitic content, X did take action and work to remove the post. But there was really a question for a while of like, is this something that they intended, for the chatbot to just go all white nationalist? It was really crazy to see. And the chatbot said, and we don't know because the chatbot is an AI, it's not a human, but the chatbot said that it was updated manually last week by Elon to have a little bit more of a based attitude.
Which I don't know if we should credit that. I believe also the chatbot at one point in recent days was responding as Elon. I mean, again, these chatbots are prone to hallucinations and so on. So take that with a grain of salt. Sarah,
extreme grain of salt.
Yeah, we will do this in a more full way, I think, at some point on this podcast, especially once we get Kurt Wagner on the show. Kurt, of course, wrote a book all about Elon Musk's takeover of Twitter. But just quickly, I just want to talk about like why we were so fascinated by Linda, because of course there are other CEOs in Elon Musk's orbit, and I'm trying to think about why she was sort of this kind of funny, interesting, really impressive, but also kind of comic figure within the orbit. And I think it's because she was in the most extreme position where on one hand there is the craziness of Elon and all the edgelord stuff and his weird associations and the racism. And on the other side are like the most square people in the world, advertisers. And Linda is the buffer. And there would be these amazing moments, Sarah, which I'm sure you remember, where Elon would be doing something crazy. Linda would go on Twitter and be like, "Yay, NFL," or whatever, just like something that just felt so far removed from where the actual zeitgeist was. And it was like just amazing to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it would be like something insane. The world was exploding, and Linda would be like, "I love shoes," like
Exactly.
Jets. She'll just do like enthusiastic posts that are brand safe. Almost has like the most extreme caricature of like a counterbalance to Musk himself. Like she just really is like, go team, we're changing the world, we're all about free speech. And in fact, when there was that first scuffle where Musk, remember he endorsed that anti-Semitic post in 2023, and then at that conference he told marketers who were boycotting X to go F themselves.
Yeah, of course.
Then Yaccarino tells staff that, she's all about the free speech mission and the principles do not have a price tag, nor will they be compromised ever. She just really is all in, even when Musk goes to the extreme. So I just want to note, we talked about the craziness of Grok. We do know that Linda Yaccarino was considering her exit since before yesterday's events from a source familiar.
Got it.
So it's not necessarily tied, but it does make the timing seem more like space saving.
Do we have any sense of how long she's been considering her exit?
For a while. Our source says her decision to resign was in the works well before the Grok situation.
I guess we could take that a lot of different ways.
So another thing to think about is, we talked about her really strong relationships with advertisers. She was just at Cannes Lions in the south of France. That's the really big advertising conference. You heard Kurt Wagner talk about that Elon Inc. recently, where everyone comes together, touts their products, meets, has rosé on yachts, all of that. She was there, but she wasn't really much of a public presence. She was doing a lot of like private meetings, and you can imagine in these private meetings, her buddies might be telling her, "Hey, look, like Musk isn't even tight with Trump anymore. Like, what are you still doing there?"
Yeah, I mean, for me, like what Linda was trying to do, and I use the word impressive, not, seriously, because I think, especially early in her tenure, she really did help navigate the company from chaos to something that actually started to feel like it hung together as a vision. It started to feel like, okay, this is like going to be a real conservative media platform. Linda, of course, had some connections to Trump world before coming into X. I believe she was on some kind of fitness panel or whatever. But in any case, like, she strikes me as a sort of mainstream conservative, not, maybe a Fox News conservative, not necessarily a burn it all down America party conservative, for those who have listened to yesterday's podcast with Nancy Cook. Sarah, before we wrap, I just want to talk to you quickly about kind of what this means for the future. Because while this is going on, I believe tonight, it's Wednesday as we're recording this, later today, Elon is going to unveil Grok 4, this new version of his large language model, the large language model that XAI made. It is assumedly trained on data from X. What really feels like here is a pivot away from advertising altogether and towards AI. And I'm wondering whether, number one, you buy that, and number two, can that succeed, even though, despite all of the issues that we talked about, the fact that Grok still has a tendency to spout offensive stuff from time to time?
Well, I think you got to look at the financial picture. Advertising is a small business, but it's a real source of revenue for a company that is, that we've reported is burning through $1 billion a month.
Yeah, and I believe our report said they plan to take in $500 million in revenue. I assume that's AI revenue. Meanwhile, Twitter, I mean, our understanding is this is a couple of $1 billion business, even in its very diminished form. Like, the advertising business is still way bigger than the chatbot business.
Oh, it's way bigger, but the chatbot business is going to drain through that in weeks, right? Like the cost of a build out of data centers. They're burning through $1 billion a month, and they're planning to raise $9.3 billion in debt and equity. The financial picture is getting extremely complicated for this company. And if you're Elon Musk, you see the world is full of endless money, because you can just get it from maybe even from one of your other companies, right?
Right, yeah. Well, that's potentially where some of that revenue is coming from, for sure.
So I think it's just a complicated. If you're not trying to bring the X business back to health through advertising, like, now it's part of this XAI thing, which is like a much more complicated financial picture, maybe better upside, right? Because it's an AI business. But it is one that is bleeding money like all of these AI companies are.
All right, well, we'll have more to say about this in future episodes. Sarah, I feel like at some point we need to sit down and do like a retrospective. Like, I'm craving a montage of like the greatest Yaccarino tweets, the greatest sound bites. Like, there were so many great moments. And then we'll have to talk about the guy that many people think is going to run X, the newly hired product manager or product head of product or something, Nikita Beer. So lots to discuss, but we'll have to save that for next week.
I just want to ask you a question, Max. What do you think he does next?
Yes. I mean, I feel like, was it you or our producer Magnus who suggested just before we got on that maybe she's getting a job inside the Trump administration, right? That could be. Or do you think that or do you think that the bridges have been too far burned? Like, maybe her association with Musk, even with the exit, means that like she's going to be frozen out of that world forever.
I think she could easily find a role in the conservative political world.
Yeah, 100%. That conservative new media space is booming, and she really did. I mean, to her credit, like, she did hit that a little bit. Like, that Tucker Carlson got tossed from Fox News. And, like, obviously he's very controversial and everything, but, like, he gets a lot of viewers, and some of that had to do with the X partnership.
So we'll see. I mean, I'm just kind of curious if she keeps posting through it. Like, if she even continues being just this bubbly personality on X.
It's where it happens, Sarah. It's where it happens. And let's
To
leave
use
it
the
there.
line.
Sarah,
All right.
Sarah Frier, thanks for being here. See you soon.
Thank you, Max.
This episode was produced, created, conceived, dreamed up, and tweeted by Magnus Hendrickson, our supervising producer. Big thanks to Sarah Frier. Sage Bauman is the head of Bloomberg Podcast, and we will see you next week unless something big happens, in which case we'll be right here in your feed.